Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Becoming a Trusted Voice. In today's show, we're going to talk about the actual framework itself, and I'm going to unpack it episode by episode. These will be short and sweet, lightweight, and to the point, as I love. We're going to talk about the first part of the framework, which is what I call the Sarto method. It's a 5-part framework, and Sarto simply stands for S, which stands for subject, A for aspiration, R for routine, T for threats, and O for opinions, the point of view of your customer. We're going to unpack the subject today. So what is the subject? The subject is what I like to say. It's the topic that your audience associates you with. It's what they think of you about. And it's also aligned with the problem that you solve as an organization. So whether you are a marketing agency and you provide ways to help your clients grow their bottom line or get more customers, they will see you as a marketing expert. That is the subject in which they associate you with. If you're a coach, like let's say Sean Kennel on YouTube, he is known for helping people launch and grow their YouTube channels. And so as you think about people like this, they serve a specific purpose and you go to them for advice in those areas. So the subject is really the commonality of the expertise you have and the interest of your audience. And you're creating a match, an alignment here that allows you now to speak into what they're doing, what they're working towards, and the things that's happening in their world. And so one of the things I like to do about the subject is think about what are the services that you provide? What are the products that you provide? And what are some of the common questions or even lifestyles that pivot around the product or service you provide? As an example, Dave Ramsey is often known for personal finance. So most people think of him as the expert in personal finance. Getting out of debt would be probably one subject that he speaks to. Another one might be being financially independent, which is another subject he speaks to. Another subject he speaks to is generosity, or the subject of owning and running a small business through his other entity called EntreLeadership. These are subjects that he can speak to as an expert, as someone who walks that path. And the audience who is interested in that topic has something they're working towards. They have a routine or an aspiration that they're carrying out every day that matches the subject that piqued their interest. So think of the subject as your bridge to talk about the value you provide, the expertise or the knowledge that you carry, and the interest of your audience. Most commercials, if you think about advertising today, typically are designed to distract or grab attention. And the reality of it is you might be thinking about something else and then an ad comes across your way and now you're thinking about the thing that they're talking about. And if the ad is entertaining, you might watch it, but most of the time it is a distraction. It is an interruption from what your audience is trying to accomplish. With the Sarto method, you're aligning the topic of interest with the goal or aspiration they're working towards and the routines in which they're putting their hands to and the problems or threats that's happening as a result of carrying out the work they're doing towards their goal. And you're matching that with their opinion or point of view about all the things that they're experiencing. And when you do that, the content you create resonates with your audience. The content you create becomes a tool that allows you to now get your message out, add value to your audience, and empower those who are listening to basically be your advocates. And so that is really what you want to work towards when you think about the whole picture of content creation. So let's go back to this topic of the subject. First, you have to make sure that there is a value match with the words that you're speaking. So you hold values and your audience holds values. Do you really know them? Have you taken the time to articulate what your values are and really see if the audience that you're serving shares alignment with those values? If they don't, it's going to be very hard for the subject you're speaking to be well received, because there are multiple ways. If I use Dave Ramsey as an example, there are multiple ways to manage your finances. Dave Ramsey is an advocate for being debt-free. So much of his advice is not going to encourage you to leverage debt to reach some of your financial aspirations. But some other voices might actually advocate let's say Robert Kiyosaki. He might advocate using OPM or other people's money. And he's going to give recommendations that's going to speak to how he leverages debt in a smart way to get to his aspiration. So when you understand the values of your audience, then it shapes the interest or the loyalty of the person who's listening. And so it's very important first to understand, what are your values and what do you believe? And when you can take the time to jot down those things, then you can speak to the subject through that lens. As you speak through that lens, you're going to begin to attract people who share the same values, because you're going to hear the approach and the tone you're taking in what you're saying, and it's going to draw your audience. The people who resonate with what you're saying are traditionally going to be more loyal, they're going to be more committed, and they're going to be more engaged with the content you're creating. If you were to just generally speak about finance, you're going to have those two worlds colliding. Those who are maybe pro using OPM or other people's money to grow your wealth, and others who are approaching things through a debt-free lens or not leveraging debt. You're going to have these two worlds colliding, and what's going to happen is the people who are listening to your advice, and if let's say you are maybe you align with Dave Ramsey's point of view, using growing your wealth in a non-debt-free way, in a debt-free way, not leveraging debt, then that audience is going to resonate. But then those who are really big advocates of OPM, using other people's money, they're going to constantly challenge everything you're saying and not necessarily apply any of the advice you're giving, because there's not a value match. And so this is all related to the understanding that we're really operating in a values-driven economy, which means that it's the value mix that you carry that's actually drawing and building your audience. And that value mix is what's going to keep your audience there. It's what's going to build a loyal and engaged base. So first, you have to start with understanding what are the values and beliefs that you hold. And then once you know what those things are, you dive into the subject that you're going to speak through. And now the subjects are going to be connected to the expertise you hold, the problems you solve, the services you offer, and the common sets of interests that your customers have. How do you find the common interests that your customers have? Well, you look at sales data. You look at all of the ways your customer has engaged with your organization. So if you're creating content, you're looking at the comments that they're leaving. If you're in sales, you're looking at the sales scripts, the recordings, the comments that they made during the sales journey of doing business with you. Or you might be doing more of a retrospective view on surveys, or you're doing a proactive engagement through qualitative research, where you're actually engaging with the customer, asking very specific questions. But your goal is to uncover the things that they're interested in, which are generally driven by the rest of the S.A.R.T.O method. It's something they're aspiring towards. It's something they're putting their hands to in their routines. It's living on their calendar. It's something related to a problem they're having that's going wrong, or maybe it's an opinion they're holding around all of these things happening all at once. So those are going to be the areas where you're going to draw insight from to really understand the subject to target. But the conclusion of this episode is really all about making sure that you know the values you hold, the values and beliefs, jot those down, think about how they relate to the subjects that you're an expert in and the services you offer. How might the values shape the application of the knowledge you're sharing? And begin to start thinking and speaking through that lens. And then also look at your customers. What are the things that they're saying that's going to give you a clue of what they're interested in? That is how you find your subject within the S.A.R.T.O method. In our next episode, we're going to unpack the aspiration, letter A, the second part of the 5-part framework. The aspiration is the goal that your audience is striving towards. So thanks for listening to another episode of Becoming a Trusted Voice. If you're interested in learning more, go to thetrustedvoiceframework.com. If you're like me, you probably are planning a lot of content for yourself or on behalf of your clients. And the best way to plan content is with clarity, understanding who your customers are, how they think, and what matters to them. And so I'm actually hosting a live workshop around the Trusted Voice Framework. In this workshop, you're going to learn all about the framework. We're going to go deep into the methods of how you can conduct audience research, how you can then take those findings from audience research and apply it into an ideal customer profile that is tailored to helping you show up as a friend and resonate with your audience. This content that you'll create as a result of the framework is actually going to allow the people who hear the content, whether it's for your firm, your studio, or even for your clients, to become advocates, word of mouth advocates for whatever it is that they're listening to, because the methods that we teach within Trusted Voice Framework actually helps you show up as a trusted voice to the people who are listening. Rather than noise that most people hear through advertising, you're going to understand how to align yourself, align your company with the values that you hold and the values that your audience holds. There needs to be an alignment between values, and that is what us customers are looking for today. And so Trusted Voice Framework is going to unpack how you do that, the methods to uncover those insights. And I'm going to be hosting this live 2-hour event to walk you through that process and certify you in this ability to provide this for your customers at your company. So go to trustedvoiceframework.com to learn more. Look forward to seeing you there.